Hello everyone, it's finally here, episode 18, the one that I'm obviously the most excited about. You see, I've put up my gear for this episode. I have my lucky ball with Seahawks here as well. This is the episode I've been looking for as much as any, but obviously the most. Seahawks are my team, and today with this episode, I wanted to start a little bit differently than I do usually because I wanted to share with you guys how I became a Seahawks fan. So it's simple. I've become a Seahawks fan after they won a Super Bowl. But before you call me Glory Hunter, there is more to the story. So before that, I was watching like 4 or 5 Super Bowls in a row, but just Super Bowls because like here in Europe, American football, as we call it, back in those days was not a super huge deal. We didn't have Manhattan games. I'm not sure there was London games at the time, and there was very few really like guys that were watching, that were listening. Anyway, so I was just watching Super Bowls as more of like this huge event that was supposed to be the biggest one on the planet Earth, and I was like, guys, this is not a sport I enjoy. And it needs to be said that at the time, like I was watching esports, and I was still like, yeah, esports are better than this. And then the Super Bowl between Broncos and Seahawks happened. And at the time, I have a friend, and I still have him, who was like, dude, you have to bet some money on the Broncos. They are going to win. Peyton Manning, they will just smash this Legion of Doom. And that's what he called them. Obviously, they were Legion of Boom, as you've learned, Peyton, right? But he was like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I'm going to be watching, so let's spice it up a little bit. And then in the halftime, I'm like writing to him like, dude, what's going on? Don't worry, they will turn it around. I'm like, okay, I've put some more money on the Broncos. Then the kickoff happened. And I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to lose some money on it. And that was kind of like, okay, so I've lost money on this team. They looked fun. They looked good. Let's find out what is Seattle Seahawks. What are they? And I kind of were like, okay, but if I'm going to do that, I kind of want to watch this sport because, like, if I'm about to pick my favorite team, because that can sometimes happen when I look more into the like what the team stands for, what the team is all about, then it's like, okay, but then I obviously have to watch the sport. So I was like, okay, I will give the football the proper chance. I will watch the next season. And, let's see if I'm going to be a Seahawks fan. So I dig deep and watch some of the things about Seahawks. And I started to love them. Not because they won the Super Bowl, but because of the stories of the players that were part of the franchise at that time. So the two favorites were at the time, were Richard Sherman and were Russell Wilson. But it's like there were so many other guys. Whether we talk about Doug Baldwin and his interview, like, we are going to walk our as pedestrian into the Super Bowl then, like, I'm sick of you guys underestimating us, I love the swagger. Then obviously Marshawn Lynch, beast mode. Skittles, man. I'm not like a huge fan of Skittles besides the green one, but for him, I was buying the Skittles to celebrate his touchdowns as well. Then Bam Bam Cam, I mean, dude, wow, what a player. Just unfortunate that his playing style kind of shortened his career. Errol Thomas, and then a guy that I was like, what is this goofball, poofball of energy on the sideline? Wow, the dude is over 60? Oh my god, I don't have that much energy. I'm like early 20s. Just Pete Carroll, oh my god. And it was like all of this stuff, a lot of guys with chip on their shoulders, Doug Baldwin, undrafted, Richard Sherman, drafted very lately, Russell Wilson, who had first round talent but was just too short to play QB, right? And just overtaking training camp and just never letting anyone take his job as a Seahawks QB. All of that combined, I'm like, there's a lot that's going on within this team. A lot that's like this vibe that that's kind of the first thing that actually drags me towards something. And you can do that with pretty much any team I'm a fan of. With Arsenal London, soccer team. For you guys who don't know, it was them signing Tomas Rosicki, who is a player from Czech Republic that I'm from, but also it was like, let's play a lot of young players. Let's try to revolutionize English football, by this French professor Arsene Wenger that really drove me towards the Arsenal. And when I was kind of calling myself a glory hunter with this, I really mean this, because I don't think I'm a glory hunter, because since I've been fan of Arsenal, which is 20 years, we have not won Premier League, we have not won Champions League, and we have been called specialists on failure, etc., etc. So trust me, it's hard to be a fan of Arsenal. It's not easy. It's not an easy job. And for other, let's say, American sports, I am a long-time fan of Minnesota Timberwolves, to watch what I drawn with Ricky Rubio, the Spanish former player, point guard that I really like how he rised through the ecosystem of EuroLeague. I would say kind of similar to Luka Doncic. Unfortunately, Ricky never stepped it up with inside the NBA. He never became the player that I was hoping for him. But I've never lost interest in the Timberwolves, and I'm still a fan to this day. And as you guys know, T-Wolves did not win anything in last 15 years. In terms of NHL, do you even guys know about Columbus Blue Jackets, right? Our best achievement since I became a fan is first round playoffs that we've won. Great, Maybe it's me, maybe I'm a bad luck for those teams, But unfortunately for them, when I decide to be a proper fan of a team, so it's not like I'm just watching the team because, for example, Czech player plays there, I'm not leaving them. Till I die, I'm the fan. I value loyalty, and this is just me. So, there would have to be some absolutely crazy shit for me to happen that I would stop being a Seahawks fan, Arsenal fan, CBJ fan, or Timberwolves fan. This is just me. When I love the team, and I really love those teams, though, if it's my top team is Arsenal, my favorite sport is football, but American football, not soccer. But Seattle is just close second, So overall, I live and die, and I'm going to die a Seahawks fan unless something crazy happens. So during times, it was not always pretty, but I've lived with this team. I lived through Russell Wilson's podcast. Did you know, guys, that Tyler Rocket writes poems? That's something that he's revealed there, and so many more. So I'm not going to go into details of a lot of stories I have about the Seahawks, because we don't have time for that. That would be a special episode. But that's just I really wanted to give you some introduction about how I've become Seahawks fan, what Seahawks mean to me, obviously what I have not mentioned, and what also was a huge drawing factor was the 12th man, the incredible Seahawks fan, the atmosphere that was at CenturyLink Field and now Lumen Field. Unfortunately, I have not been able to travel to the States, but I will in the future, no matter what it takes. I will visit Seahawks and watch them play, because I just want to be part of that in reality, not only through online watching. And I was about to start this episode and recording last night or last evening, but pretty much at the time it was published that the Seahawks are releasing Tyler Lockett. I'm like, dude, I know it's a smart move. This is a move that later in the presentation I actually have revealed that I do trust that they will do that, because this is just way too much money that they can save by releasing him. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't suck. This guy has been professional. He's been great character, just absolute freaking role model, not to mention freaking great player. He's still not washed. I hope he continues to playing, which I'm not sure he will, but if he does, I still think he's going to be valuable for someone. But yeah, I was like, no, I can do the episode at that point. And to make matters worse, DK Metcalf trade requests were also noticed publicly, within an hour since that. I'm like, both of the moves that I was like tried to prepare myself, because I saw their cap hits, I saw their situation, I saw obviously JSN and what he did last season and what DK kind of didn't do last year. I was like, yeah, this kind of makes sense from like a GM standpoint of view. But dude, I'm also a freaking fan of the Seahawks. So this freaking sucks. I don't want to watch both of these guys go. So a really tough one. Kind of unfortunate that I was not able to publish the episode or record the episode before, because now it's harder to talk about this team because it's raw. It hurts. It freaking hurts. I love this team. I love both of these guys. So that's that. But with that being said, let's go and jumpstart this episode as we usually do by reviewing 2024 draft for the Seattle Seahawks. So we started with Byron Murphy. I was a huge fan of this pick because it was very easy, because we got second defensive player of the board, if I'm not mistaken. It was second or third, which is pretty much we got our pick that we wanted, especially with Mike Mack being our new head coach. I was like, dude, that's insane. You get to choose literally the guy that you want. And I really feel like Byron Murphy is the guy that he very, very much wanted. And I know the numbers do not look exceptional, but show me a guy, defensive tackle, that was exceptional year one. I would say there is a handful of them, as much as number of fingers of a long-term lumberjack, not really freaking many. I really feel like Byron Murphy was struggling, I know he was struggling with injuries, and I don't think he was 100% even when he played. No, who is, but obviously. And at the same time, this is one of the toughest positions in terms of the sheer mass difference that you are facing from college towards a pros. How much mass you have to handle. It's not 250 pounds, it's 280 pounds times 2, because he was being double teamed quite a lot. So I am not discouraged by this first year, though the numbers do not look bad, and I still feel and this is without the bias, I really feel like Byron Murphy did a good job for a rookie defensive tackle, and I feel like his trajectory is obviously going up. Is it the case that I would not take Jared Verse over him? No. What Jared Verse showed in his first year is kind of what I hope Byron Murphy is going to eventually show his second or third year. So I would take Jared Verse over Byron Murphy, but that does not mean that Byron Murphy himself is a bad pick or should have not been picked at this position. So you have to really distinguish, for example, Bears should not be sorry about taking Caleb over Jaden Daniels, despite what Jaden Daniels showed year one. Caleb, within himself, had a pretty solid season. And that's what you can say about Byron Murphy. Second pick we've made, Christian Haynes. Here I'm going to be much more, I am much more disappointed, because I love this pick. I thought he was kind of the best true guard in last year's draft, because there were a lot of tackles that could convert towards guards, but they were not necessarily playing guards at college level, whilst Christian did. I was like, well, we have a huge need at guard, and we are able to snatch the best guard available through the whole draft. I would not be against it. Obviously, we didn't have a second round, but if we drafted him in the second round, he would be, I would say, very solid pick with the huge need that we had as a guard. And unfortunately, the need was there, but Christian Haynes did not become a solution of that need, at least year one. So he was not able to put himself on the field, despite Seahawks really struggling with especially interior offensive line. That was dreadful to watch. And the fact that he was not able to put himself out there way too much, and even when he was out there, he was not looking good, is discouraging. I'm still not saying he's not going to make it, but this was a bit of a downfall for me, because I was like, okay, they definitely see something in him, and with a lot of struggle that we have, let's plug him in, and I believe he's going to be decent. He was not decent. He was not playing like a starter should. So let's go towards Tyrese Knight, and I was questioning this pick quite a lot. Felt like he just was missing something. Was pretty much my day 3 pick, so like I was not like super down on it, but this was probably one of the picks, one of the very few picks, and perhaps the only one that I was like a little bit skeptical about when we or Seahawks made it. I will occasionally say we, I will occasionally say Seahawks. Please forgive me. I know for some of my friends, they don't understand how I call my teams my, because they are not mine in their eyes, but like, I think true fans will understand that we live, die, and breathe our teams, so we call them ours, right? With Tyrese, I was not like a huge fan, though I was not like, yeah, this is a bad pick. Okay, let's find out what we have in it. And what we had in him was starter. Since Ernest Jones arrived for second part of the season, we've put Tyrese Knight out there next to him, and he was really, really good, especially for a rookie linebacker. So his traits show up, his headiness showed up, like he understands this position much more than rookie always do, or like usually do for linebackers. So he kind of understands that position. It's not about being this traitsy guy that we are going to develop. We are going to make him think like a linebacker, understand what he needs to do. He kind of gets it. So that's very encouraging. And good backup, might be a little down on him. I feel like he could be a guy that when I watch, rewatch some of the games and some of the special snaps later in the year, during the summer, I might even put him as a decent starter. Really a nice pick, as it seems right now, though the sample size is not across the whole year. It required Ernest Jones, but it was clear that the staff believe in him because we've traded several linebackers, or one, we released some, and we was like, okay, rookie, it's now yours. We kind of don't have a backup plan, it's yours. And he was like, yeah, trust me guys, I will do it. And he did. Then AJ Barner, he was brought here to do one thing pretty much. And he kind of showed that he can do a little bit more. So we brought him as tight end specialist, really like a complementary tight end for a future on cheap that can block very well coming from Michigan. This usually will be a case for Michigan tight ends. But he showed that he does not have a bad hands, man. Like 4 touchdowns, like sounds really, really nice. But to me, it's more like he didn't have many drops. He was like able to really like figure it out in terms of some coverages. There was a little bit like in terms of pass protection and run blocking, that was kind of exactly what I expected. But in terms of hands, I was surprised very nicely. So really good year for AJ Barner. Is he a potential superstar in the making? I do not think so. But he could be much more of a, let's say, 1B option rather than like just a blocking tight end. So we will see how he's going to handle future responsibilities. But we found a nice tight end too, it seems like at worst. Then Mike Jarrell, kind of pick that I really didn't have like a strong opinion about, with how offensive line was struggling and was dealing with several injuries. He needed to step up and play. He was not ready to play. He was never like meant to be playing in year 1, and it showed on tape. So like really nothing against him. It's just unfortunate situation for Seahawks that there was pretty much no other option than to turn to Mike Jarrell. With Nehemiah Pritchett, Satamoa Lemua, and DJ James, with all of these guys, I felt like this is nice value, though neither of them really put a stamp on and showed up year 1, whilst DJ James was actually cut and picked up by Patriots, which I thought that he might be decent developmental corner. It didn't happen. There is a lot of youth out there for us, so it kind of makes sense that they kind of double down with, let's say, less relevant draft picks and just like let's take a look what we will find with preseason. And they found out, yeah, we don't trust DJ James. So that was the draft for the Seahawks. Year one, I would say it's solid. It's nothing insane, but it's nothing disastrous. I feel like some of the players overperformed. Some of them were kind of where I expected them to be, and unfortunately Christian Haynes underperformed in my opinion. So it's not like you've got like super huge impact, but we felt, I would say, for the future, linebacker to position, tight end to position, probably a backup guard, and obviously potential superstar. I do still believe in Myron Murphy, an obvious starter for next season. So given the fact that we were missing second round pick that we've sent for Leonard Williams, it was still decent draft, and I would still continue to back them up. Though from one of my top 8 favorite drafts, I would say year one would push this down much more towards like average type of grade. With that being said, let's find out how the team got to 10 wins that did not make playoffs for some reason, because that should be enough to win playoffs, and see who stepped up and who didn't. So our QB for pretty much the whole season was Geno Smith. And with Geno, sorry guys, I really wanted to put him as an important starter or impactful starter, like the ES, or IS. ES, he's elite starter. I would like to put in Geno out there, but he's really not elite. But I just couldn't. There was a lot of good things in Geno's game. And he had to deal with like really bad O-line. Not necessarily great play calling with Ryan Grubb. That's one of the reasons why he's gone. But mostly about the offensive line for Geno was just really lacking the protection. But I would say that he kind of solely lost us like 1 to 2 games with really bad red zone interceptions. That it's just those times where like Geno is playing overall really good football, and then he has some kind of brain fart where he like randomly has a really shitty drive or a really stupid play. And it's like what stops me from putting him into that upper tier with important starters. I think he's definitely on top shelf of good starters. Unlike other guys, I was never on a train to like release Geno or whatever. Like no guys. I mean, like I would not be against to see Russell Wilson, because he's one of my favorite players of all time. Like easily top 3, quite possibly number 1. I really like Russell Wilson, but that's most likely not going to happen, and it would not make a financial sense. And at this point of time, I would not call him a better QB than Geno is. So I was never on that, but it's clear that we need to think about the future, and I still cannot sign myself up to the idea that Geno is going to be the starter for like 3 more years, which certainly with his age is a possibility. Like he, despite like being older right now than most of the QBs out there, he's 35. He doesn't have like the ton of miles on him. Like he's been in the league for a long time, but not necessarily played a ton. So I wouldn't say that he's going to be 35. That his body is necessarily like wore down. So I think he is capable of starting next 5 years in the league. But I just struggle with the idea that it would be all 5 years with the Seahawks, unless he can be more consistent or like just clean up those. I would like kind of call them brain farts, though. Like I don't think Geno is by any stretch of imagination dumb or anything. I don't know how to call those situations, but it's like, dude, just don't do them. I think Gino on like 38, 39 millions makes sense. And if that would be what he like agrees upon for the future, given when the cap hit is going, I would probably be okay with that. But overall, this is definitely a type of QB that I would not be signing to anywhere close to top market money, because he's just not worth it. Instead, I would be looking for someone to replace him. But he's also not a bridge QB. Like, he is really in that area, like really close to guys like Tua. Like, I really don't think like there's the world of difference between him and Tua. And like for 40 millions a year for next 3 years, I would take that. I would take that. Though I do understand a lot of the fans calling up for someone with, I would say, bigger potential. Though, is it necessarily a thing that Gino is like maxed out? Because I don't necessarily think so. When you look at what he has been dealing with the Seahawks, like there's been a lot of playmakers, but the coaching was not necessarily great with Gino. Like, at least I would say last year or two. The O-line is pretty much dreadful all the time he's been with the Seahawks. And there were stretches of where he definitely looked like, I would say, close to top 10 QB out there. So I'm not against the idea that the Gino can be something more that he is right now. I don't think there is like an amazing starter in him, which to me is like top 7, top 8 guys in the league. But like borderline top 10 guy with Clint Kubiak that really made Derek Carr look like an average QB, where I think like he is below average. I'm intrigued by that possibility. So if you ask me how I would dealt with Gino right now, like give him next year something around like 40, 42 millions. You know, pretty much like in the ballpark that if he really shits the bed this year, we can cut it and perhaps like leave 10 million, 15 millions in that cap hit. I would definitely draft the guy. I'm not saying that we should not be drafting a guy. I don't feel like Sam Howell, what he showed, like it was not pretty. Like, despite some of the numbers looking good, it was not pretty. I don't think he is anywhere close to an answer. So I would invest in that room with the draft. But I'm absolutely cool with Gino being my starting quarterback for 2024 and for 2025 and possibly 2026, because perhaps like he will need at least 1 year being added towards his contract to suit up. I'm not sure like he would hold out, but it's probably like for the best for both sides. And I'm absolutely okay with that. I'm intrigued by the possibilities that the Killing Kubiak's offense will offer to Gino. So that's our QB room, and now let's move towards running backs. So Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Well, not to be biased, but in terms of combined forces, this is top 5, top 7 running back duo in the league. Though, is any of them top 10? I would say Kenneth is really close, but he needs to stay on the field. Like, he is hurt way too much, and I'm not really against the idea of, once again, like drafting a running back in this very deep class. Though, like I would go for like 6th or 7th rounder for sure, because like this is Kenneth like last year on his rookie contract, and does he deserve contract extension? Hell yeah! Like, he's excellent. Like, he's really freaking good. Like, I know the numbers ain't looking exceptional, but PFF grade, which like is not a perfect summary of anything, like, you know, I would guess like even they would admit that we are not perfect, but we are doing quite a really good job. He's really up there with like best rated running backs in the league. But the problem is his health. Like, he is such a monster. He's like, his body seems not to be able to necessarily cope with the mass that he has, the contacts that he's like taking, because he runs angry. really like similar to like Isaiah Pacheco with this kind of nasty, someone calls it like try to punish the grass type of attitude. So I really like Kenneth Walker. I think he's tremendous, but I just worry about his durability. So that's something that you obviously need to consider when you think about his contract. So compared to how good he is, the extension that he is going to sign and whether it's going to be with the Seahawks or not could be surprisingly smaller than the production would suggest. I hope for him and for the Seahawks that he has injury-free year, and I really like what we've done last year when we've drafted Zach Charbonnet, because first of all, they are a little bit different. Zach Charbonnet is much more of a like agile home runner guy, and Kenneth is much more about the muscle and about the physique, and that not only gives you possibilities of really mesh those guys together, but also, as Zach showed second half of the season, where it's really why his grade upgraded so much. And when I asked, he looked like a guy that was promised with the draft capital that we spent on him. He was able to put his game onto the next level, also running with more of that power, breaking tackles and stuff. So he could also like ease up the load on Kenneth Walker, so Kenneth Walker body does not have to take 25 touches a game punishment every single game. And if you give 15 to Zach, 15 to Kenneth, they might both happen to stay healthy towards like later part of the year, where hopefully we will need them for playoff push. Let's go Seahawks. I'm sorry, I won't be super unbiased, but I'm trying to at least be with like grades and stuff I give to my guys. So really nice duo. Will we pay them both? Future will show. I just hope that they will both stay healthy and have offensive line to run behind in 2025. So now let's go towards the wide receivers. Yeah, you guys, like I'm going to be sad talking about them. Sorry, it's still live. So we start with DK, who had kind of, I'm not going to say like bad year, but let's call it bad year on his standards. Like not really a year when you would watch him and see like top 15 wide receiver in the league, which I would say that he would be considered among the league analysts and among his peers like before the season. This year he looked much more of like low end one, super high end two, like, and he's still a guy that you are just absolutely freaking happy to have. Though one of the things that he like kind of pisses me about is like he's such a freaking big guy. I just wish he was able to use his size more in some of the tough catches, some of the pushes, and also it feels like he uses it more when he's pissed at somebody rather than on like snap to snap basis. So you can see him bury guys with run blocking, but it just doesn't feel like he does it constantly. He just does it to like prove a point over the certain corner. And it's pretty freaking nice to see it because like, but we are not able to like put it into like our game plan because that's not what's going on like the whole game. It feels like just kind of a way how he releases energy or some like frustration, and that's not really something that you can like pretty much count on. So if we were able to put this to better use as well as like being better when contested catches are concerned, because like for a guy of his size you would expect him to be much better in this area. He is average or like below average despite being one of the most targeted men and trusted in this situation to really win his matchup one-on-one. Just let's call it a jumble. But it's like, both guys have a chance. DK with his size, with his big muscle physique should be able to box the guy out, and for some reasons he's not able to come down with them. But that's like 2 slight knocks on DK. I think he is still like borderline top 15 wide receiver in the league. A guy that if he's your best guy, you are absolutely okay with that. Is he Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb? No. But, like there is just a handful of these guys. Perhaps there was hope that he could get onto that level. So far he was not able. Is he going to ever? Probably not, but there is still like 4 to 5 years of excellent, really, really, really good football player in him. So if we are going to trade him, let's get a haul for him, or not trade him at all, because despite JSN really emerging, I feel like it's partly because DK, despite like having slightly down year, where he was still battling through some injury stuff with his back, he demands freaking attention. Like, it's not like you can leave him one-on-one way too often, because with his speed and with his muscularity, let's put it that way, he can make you pay with some of the really, really big plays. So he demands defenses to really acknowledge him on the field, which opens up doors for other guys. And this year, JSN was absolutely able to take advantage of it, especially in second part of the season when he truly emerged as just similar to Zach Charbonnet. Like, they were struggling a little bit in their first year and a half to really like show up with some elite performances, but they kind of did that second part of the year. It was a little pleasure to watch JSN. He's nifty, he's shifty, and he was even like able to like show some physique in his game. So really pleasant to watch. Is he future superstar? Like, there were comps to even Justin Jefferson, which, like, if we have another Justin Jefferson, I would be really glad. I'm not certain, but do I believe that we have at least another amazing starter in him for future years to come? Heck yeah. I really believe that Jackson has arrived. Though, if suddenly we are without Tyler, we are without DK, it could be slightly much more tough ask for him to be one, because he does not necessarily have the elite physical traits like, for example, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown has. Now let's shift towards Tyler Lockett, for whom this was a down year for who Tyler Lockett is. He was not necessarily producing the numbers you are expected. He was not like even as good in terms of not letting you down in some of the spots, being able to find always like just open with the coverage, but like still like for wide receiver 3, which is what he essentially became with JSN arrived. Dude, he's really freaking good for VR3. Still one of the best wide receivers 3 that you can ask for. Is it worth 31 millions, which was his cap hit? No, let's be frank, it's not. But boy, I'm going to miss myself Tyler Lockett in the lineup. I wonder if there is like. No, I'm not going to give myself false hopes. I was going to say, like, I wonder if they can come to him, 1 year, 8 millions. Do you want to come back? I would say if there would have been a possibility of him, they would be able to sort out the contract and, like, for him to really cut some of the money that he would be able to receive in order to stay, take a pay cut like he did in years past. Like, it's not like Tyler has not been really committed to his franchise. So, like, it's really freaking sucks to lose him, man. Really freaking sucks. But I understand why John Snyder made this decision. And if I were a GM, I would do the same. And I would hate myself for that as a fan. It's simple as that. Sometimes you have to make unpopular decision because you just kind of see numbers, you see production, they do not match by quite a large margin, and yeah, you have to make tough choices. So Tyler, thank you very much for all the memories, for all the great games that you've had with us, for all of those connections with Russell Wilson, for your poems, for your smile. Whether this was your last game in NFL, or you will go and play, even if you are like Richard and you are going to the 49ers, I will be rooting for you no matter what. You deserve that. Thank you much, man. Whatever, whatever your future is going to be about, I just wish you the very freaking best. Okay, let's move to the next slide, because that was a hard one. That was really a hard one to go through. So then we go with our backup wide receiver, and now I can put some of my smile back on with Jake Bobo, because this is a guy I absolutely love. Undrafted pickup that we made before last year. One of the best blocking wide receivers in the league. He doesn't offer too much with his hands, but he's just gritty, tough grinder. He understands that he's not going to be a star. He's going to have to earn every single snap, because there's very limited what he can do. But dude is just a really nice player to root for, and I know not many people outside of Seattle will know about Jake Bobo. I really encourage you to at least watch some of his snaps if you enjoy players that are fighting for opportunity every single snap. So now let's move towards tight end room with Noah Fant and AJ Barner. I think we have nice duo that complements themselves really nicely. Is Noah Fant necessarily a guy that was promised when the Denver spent first rounder on him? No. Is he maxed out? I would probably say so. I don't think he's the type for late career bloom. Though again with Clint Kubiak, that really enhances his chances for next season and for the breakout, because one of the most fun part that he was able to do with the Saints offense was how he was able to use tight end, and especially guy like Foster Moreau really thrived under him. So could Noah Fant do the same? I hope so. I don't really believe that, but I hope so. And in this year, he was kind of what you expected. Not really a guy that blocks too much or too well, but a guy with sure hands, able to catch a lot of stuff underneath, and pretty much your third to fourth option, depending where you look, if you are Geno Smith. About AJ, we already talked about. His role is kind of clear, though. He was able to show some stuff even over that. So yet another player that I'm really intrigued to see how Clint Kubiak is going to be able to utilize. And now let's go and talk about this offensive line. And we start with at least one great thing, and that's Charles Cross. He was able to stay healthy season and kind of cemented himself as, I'm your franchise left tackle. I was worth first round pick. It was pick 9 overall. He had decent rookie year, then he struggled with injuries. Year 2, was not able to put the whole season under him. Year 3 arrived and he was rock solid, and you have to even put that into perspective when you consider the rest of the line was bad. I'm going to say bad. I had some other words in mind, but I'm going to say bad. Who was not necessarily bad, but not really as good as he was in his rookie year, was Abe Lucas. And Abe is a guy that they came into league together with Charles, and it was like, when I was looking at that, okay, so we found our franchise tackles in the same draft, because despite draft pedigree, Abe Lucas looked even better than Charles Cross in year one, and I was like, okay, Charles, I trust with his draft pedigree and like with what he was coming with, like his college background and quality, like he's going to figure it out. And Abe Lucas looked like he kind of figured it out year one. That's like that he could be a really nice franchise right tackle. But then injuries start to stockpile on Abe. Like he was pretty much unable to play last year. He played some snaps, but it was clear that he was just not physically ready to do so. And like some of the injuries, unfortunately, came back for this season. He was not able to play more than half of the snaps, and now he's heading towards fourth year. It's already his contract year, and there is hope that he can stay healthy. And if so, I would have him on my breakout type of candidates type of list. But there is big if, and his health is just a big if. So I wish he will stay healthy. Because like I think whenever he's been on the field and was like at least 90%, he was a guy that you are absolutely okay with playing as right tackle, and obviously like you kind of hope that he can develop, though he's been older prospect, being 26 as of right now, so it's not necessarily that he was drafted with being like 20 or really, really young. He was one of the guys that had some years like added towards his college tape, not necessarily like super old, but not super young. But will that happen? I don't know. I don't think so, unfortunately. But I just hope, because truth to be told, not only I wish it to Abe, he deserves a fair shot, absolutely, on that, but also because like we kind of don't have anything else, pretty much. Stone Forsythe was kind of forced to play 400 snaps because, like I'm going to say forced, like nobody forced him, but we were forced to watch it. It was not pretty. He was struggling left and right. And if he's your worst offensive lineman, you can stomach that, I guess. But unfortunately, the things did not improve when we moved to interior. Like there is one player that was kind of a sneaky good pickup and was slightly laughed at when people were a little bit laughing at Seahawks for bringing Laken Tomlinson, because like Jets offensive line, like you can say that in 2023 there was a competition between them and us for one of the worst O-lines. So like watching, Laken, let's join us. So we are ahead in that race, or we are behind. I'm not really sure. That was kind of the narrative. I would say the veteran absolutely played as good as he is able to, and as good as the circumstances allowed him in a way. Again, like at proper or like at least good O-lines, he's your worst player, and you much more prefer him to be a rotational piece. He was hero starter, and I would say, kind of splitting with Abe Lucas for second best starter, which is worrying. It's really worrying, especially when you consider that Abe was only playing half of the snaps. But Laken, for what he is, for what number we've been able to pick him up, 1.2 million, he absolutely outplayed that contract, and I don't think that's questionable. Now we shift towards Anthony Bradford. Second year, and things still did not click for Bradford. He is simply say not good. He was playing early in the year, and he kind of followed on the first year, which is, he's not a guy that he should be playing. Like, I feel like if you question good backup with him, I guess you could be right. Like, there might have been even question about lowering him to just solid backup, because so far, I don't know, like good backups should be able to like come in, step up, and play some good games. Anthony did not necessarily show that in his 2 years with us. Towards some positive with Olu Vatimi, another second year low drafted player, 5th rounder, who needed to step in when Connor Williams was like, okay, half a year, I'm done, I'm retiring. Like, what just happened? I mean, I'm not saying Connor was actually great before he retired, as you can see here, like, but again, when the news arrived and I was like, oh my god, our online was really, really bad, how is it going to perform now? Because like Connor, he was not as good as he was with Miami, where I would say scheme protects offensive linemen a lot, but he was not like shit. So like with him next to healthy Abe, and some hope that Anthony Bradford or some of the guys from the bench will figure it out, I was like, perhaps we could have 26th best offensive line. And Connor was like, no, I'm retiring. I'm not going to go into details because there has been some sort of rumors that it has some personal situation battling through. So I'm sorry if I'm making this more of a joke that it is possibly for Connor. So I'm sorry for that. But it was like how I felt at the moment. I'm like, no, please, no. So yeah, that was kind of that. And with Olu, I did not expect much. I was like, whatever. But Olu stepped in, and he was not a problem snap in, snap out. Like, he had some bad losses, especially in pass pro, but he definitely overplayed my expectations, and even to the point that if we are going to like hand him starting center job for next year, I'm not going to be shocked. Like, I think we need to absolutely like look at this online and freaking upgrade it. But there was potential starter in all from what I've seen on the field. It was not necessarily with both Luomia and Mike Gerald. Like, I mean, it was sad. It was sad, and that's where you are kind of like with Gino, especially like, and also like with some of the numbers that running backs are doing. It's like, imagine how they could look behind at least the good online. And I really hope that we are going to assemble a good online for 2025. So, John Schneider, I know you hate drafting guards in first round. I understand that. But dude, we need help. We really need help. So if you are watching, please do something about this interior. Because I don't want to see Gino being given almost impossible hand to deal with, especially if suddenly we were about to lose both DK and Tyler Lockett. Like, perhaps we can figure something out with Chiefs and Trey Smith. Come on, like if we are about to lose a great wide receiver, perhaps we can bring great guard. Yeah, perhaps an idea. I've heard that Chiefs are looking for a quality wide receiver. I don't know, just putting it out there. So that was our offense in 2024. There were games in which it was really fun to watch. There were games that was not as much fun to watch, and most of the games was like really, really fun to watch. But then Gino or someone else did something stupid, like some kind of fumble or some interception. I was like, or obviously some of the O9 plays, or just we got sacked in really bad situation. It was like a lot of there is potential. They are really good players, but we are not able to make it happen towards, I would say, a top 10 offense, which talent could suggest that we could have. Now let's shift towards a defensive side of the ball. Fortunately, injuries occurred on this side of the ball as well. Uchenna and Wosu, unfortunately, unable to play for a huge part of the season, and it's kind of like he signed a big extension and he was unable to play, which sucks because you don't want to see that with any of your players, but especially with the player that you are handing out a massive contract to. So we will see what Uchenna is going to be in 2025. Hopefully his first proper year with Mike Mack, and still a good player to use around. And I'm excited to see him play, but I was not able to in 2024. Who was able to play and who I'm really excited, and who emerged as probably even more that I hoped for his a third season, was Boye Mafe. He continues to improve his play, and this was really, I would say, a breakout season where he really started to put all the things together. Not that he was really, not that he was bad. He really was climbing the ladder, really like this. But this year it felt like it takes a little bit of this hockey stick turn. And when I was from slightly under average good starter, what I had in him last season, I now see him as important starter with potential and almost an expectation to move towards the lower tier of amazing starters within next year. So really excited to see him yet another year with Mike Mack's scheme, and boy oh boy, it was fun to watch. Who was not fun to watch was Dre'Mont Jones. I'm not going to dwell on this too much. He was a putrid run defender. He showed some stuff in pass rush, but not definitely as much as he was being paid to, because he was one of the highest paid linemen that we had, and he was justifiably cut despite leaving 14 million in dead cap behind, which really tells you he was on the hook. We could have had him plus 16 million in cap hit situation, or not have him. And Mike Mack was yeah, I'm not going to, I don't want to, or John Schneider and Mike Mack, I would say combined, he's not worth 16 million. It was 11 million this year, additional towards what that cap hit is going to be, and 5 million next season. And I'm no. And I have not touched the rosters predictions with after the free agency or this part started. So I really want to show you guys how I thought about the roster management, which guys are going to get cut. So I'm trying to make it as honest as I can, because I'm usually recording episodes a week, in some cases 10 days before they are going to get to you. So that's where some of the news are going to be old, but in terms of predicting the future, when I was prepping the series a couple of weeks ago, that's where I'm really sticking to what my predictions were. And in my predictions, Dre'Mont Jones were about to be cut, and Seahawks did that. And it was really kind of a clear move that they needed to, because his production just did not match what he was being paid to do, despite being with one of the most creative defensive mind out there. Now let's shift towards other guys, and we go with Leonard Williams, who I would say had his best year as a pro. So I guess some Giants fans would have a tendency to disagree with that, with some of his early seasons with the Giants. But I really feel like this was the best Leonard Williams we've ever seen in the league. He's going to be 31 starting next year, so having his best year in this age is slightly surprising. It's already like his 10th season, so it's not like he was like drafted being 25 and like he has a shit ton of miles on him. It's not like he's missed a ton of games, but dude absolutely showed up. And the fact that he was not voted into Pro Bowl, he eventually got there because of some guys not being there, but the fact that he was not voted in there, it's just ridiculous, guys. Like, come on, Pro Bowl needs to do a better job because some of the money stuff are also attached to Pro Bowl. So like, if I'm having an incentive of like 500k if I'm making a Pro Bowl and I freaking deserve to get into Pro Bowl and I don't, I would be pissed, man. So Leonard Williams, I think, was pissed because he was not voted in. But dude, like, what a season he had. I think like everybody will remember his interception against Aaron Rodgers that was taking pretty much across the whole field towards the end zone. Really athletic play, really smart play because he kind of moved from one side to the other, really reading what Aaron Rodgers, perhaps some tendencies or his eyes, was going to be at that situation and just run away with it. Insane player. I was a little bit skeptical when we sent a second round pick for him, especially because there was no certainty that he's going to resign with us. So there was a little, actually quite a huge gamble because like second round pick in 2024 draft was really freaking valuable. But, year and a half from that, it paid off massively. Byron Murphy, we'll already talk about. I would say for rookie DT, solid season. Nothing special, but nothing to be scared. And now let's talk about Jarran Reed, who had his best year, which is like crazy because just like Leonard, he's over 30. He's actually like 32. And this was his best year. Like, he is kind of a journeyman. He spent some years with the Packers, some years with Chiefs, and some years with the Seahawks. And boy, oh boy, it was fun to watch. Like, he was kind of what you hoped Draymond Jones would be, like, or what you were paying kind of Draymond Jones to be. Not exceptional run blocker, run defender, but a guy that was able to have a lot of pressure, generate from interior. And really someone that when I heard Mike talk about who are the guys that we really kind of want to bring back towards this team, there was two names, Jarran Reed and Ernest Jones. And I could not agree more. Obviously, I was not counting on losing DK, but Bugazi. Jarran Reed, we need you back, man. Come on. Please come back to Seahawks. Last year he was paid 4.5 million. He definitely earned himself something better, though. Like, he's not younger, so I would say 7 millions should be enough to lure him back, and I definitely want to see him in the scheme once more. Because fun does not necessarily stop there, because yet another guy had quite nice, and I dare to say, use it again, breakout year for Derek Hall, who like year one looked really bad, though a lot of guys were really high on him in 2023 draft. At that point, like, I was kind of thinking like he was an adequate pick, not necessarily like super stoked about him. And his first year was really meh. Like, he was not able to generate. He had like some ridiculously bad numbers. Like, I'm not sure if he was not able to generate like any pressure or something crazy like that. Like, he was really kind of a non-factor despite like being on the field for several hundred snaps. But year two, he was out there. He was felt. He was able to get to the QB, like 8 sacks. Definitely overestimate his production. It's not like he was necessarily creating all those sacks by himself, but he was really good. And the arrow should be only pointing upwards for him. And it's just really fun to like think about Mike Mack and how he can like combine his like different personnel within this D-line. And we have the personnel. We don't necessarily have like a superstar, though Leonard Williams played like one. So maybe we actually have. Like, I'm not sure if he can repeat that performance because he was freaking insane. But Uchenna could be back. Boye, Derek, Byron Murphy, hopefully Jaron Reed is back. And Leonard Williams. It's fun to watch, guys. It's really fun to watch. And like especially, it like took some games, I would say, before everybody was really on the same point. But really from like halfway point of the season, when we acquired Ernest Jones, and he was kind of this brain linebacker on the field, kind of this prolonged hand of a head coach and defensive mind in Mike Macdonald. It was really, really good and really intriguing for years to come. Speaking of Ernest Jones, I know numbers or PFF grade might not show it, but dude was essential for, I would say, a turnaround that this defense had, like midway point of the season, because it was solid first couple of weeks, but then it really became borderline top 10 and even potentially even more. And Ernest Jones was a huge part of that. Like, you could see that he is a leader out there on the field. He is the brains of the operation, and we need to get him back. Like, let's freaking bring him back. I'm a little bit worried that it did not happen as of right now, because with Jaron Reed, you can understand it. Like, he is a veteran. We might be like looking for a bit of a discount on him, like letting him go on the open market and see what happens. But with Ernest Jones, like, I kind of do understand thinking even here, because Seahawks draft financial situation is not the best. That even like for Ernest, perhaps we are looking for some type of discount, and considering that he was traded twice in last year, there might be some, I would say, lower evaluation of him. So if he hits an open market and doesn't like get a great offer, he might come back for a cheaper price for Seattle. But like with Jaron Reed, I'm not happy, but I'm willing to risk it for Ernest Jones. I don't want to risk it. Like, it could be possible that his demands are outrageous. Like, for example, if he asked for like 15-16 million a year or something like Zach Bond got, I'm not paying that. Like, I don't think he's 15 million plus, but 11, 12, even with our cap situation, yeah, I really want him back. So we will see. He was really one of the key pieces that helped this defense to turn it on later in the year, and it was actually, I'm going to credit him for Tyrese Knight, in sense, with him on the field, you can trust him to like mentor the young guy. Though, like, I really feel like he was much more of a linebacker ready guy that I've seen for pretty much any college linebackers in years. But still, it will be some situation in which he needs to be guided, and Ernest definitely provided the guidance and provided the staff with the confidence to just put Tyrese out there and trust him. Towards secondary, Rayshon Jenkins, experienced veteran that we've signed, kind of like in some guys' eyes, he was supposed to be like a poor man. Kyle Hamilton, I would say he was probably like a broke man, Kyle Hamilton. Like, really, this didn't necessarily work out. He was slow. He was not a great tackler. He was just below average, kind of backup safety out there in my eyes. And he was getting overplayed and overrun by Kobe Bryant, which is a converted corner. From a slide guy to safety, and what a year for Kobe Bryant. It was really fun to watch him, really getting used to this position and playing it with much more confidence than in a year prior. And I would say he could be very, very solid safety for us in the future, and arrow is only pointing up for him, given how new is he in this position, and especially if he's going to have Julian Love next to him, who is really a really good safety. He was a bit of underrated. He was a bit underrated for the Seahawks for a couple of years because there was Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams in front of him. Obviously, like Jamal, with how much we invested in him, they were getting more opportunities and they were starters over Julian Love. Julian was kind of like this third man when someone got injured. But ever since we let both these guys out, and I would say even in 2023, he was very, very solid. I would not say that he was rightfully voted in Pro Bowl. Like, when I was like salty about Leonard Williams, I felt like Julian Love did not necessarily deserve it last year. But this year, like kind of first year when he was expected to be full-time starter, and he was a full-time starter, boy oh boy, he delivered. He is freaking great player to have. I would say he can still improve, so I think like amazing starter could be an opportunity for him. I'm not saying he's going to be like top 3, top 5 safety in the league, but definitely top 10 is absolutely within reach. And some might argue that he is already somewhere along the line. So I'm actually, despite like losing in one off-season Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams, I'm freaking not worried about the safety room, and I actually feel good about it. And now let's move towards our corners. And Spoon, what a player this guy is. I absolutely love him. He reminds me kind of a combination of like Sherm and Bam Bam in terms of like he feels really smart, that he absolutely understands what he needs to do, but he loves to hit. Like he just loves to play physical. What is there not to laugh about Devon Witherspoon? Like the only thing that I'm worried about, which is where I'm like also unfortunately have to drag a comparison to Cam, which obviously they play different positions, but like he is not, I would say, not full size. Like he is full size, but he's not a huge human being, and if he is going to continue to hit everything that moves ahead of him, I just worry about his long-term health. So I love the style that he plays at. I'm just worried about his longevity if he continues to do so. So as much as I love it, I would really like to perhaps like see him more outside and hitting less. Like right now, he played like 530 snaps as a slot, 390 as a like wide corner. I would kind of reverse it, just to like slow wear and tear on his body, because I feel like he definitely is potential like lockdown corner. To me, he's like in top 7 right now. Probably even top 5 would be for me, but I really love me some Spoon, so I might be a bit biased, but there's really not much in his game that you can see and look and say like he does that below average or even average. Like, like is this the same first 2 years as Sauce had? No, but like Sauce was on different planet, like, and he come slightly crashing down year 3. So I hope Spoon is not going to do the same. And dude, like, thank you for this pick. He's just such a nice guy to watch play. So kind of thank you, Denver. Thank you. Rig one. I think he is a perfect number 2 corner in terms of white corners. He has really nice ball skills, though. Like he's kind of like Darren Bland, I would call him, where he takes too many risks and sometimes he gets burned in coverage way too much. But I would say like he's worked on that. He's become much more shut down than a liability in coverage, and he was able to. And that's perhaps when you can credit Spoon with like, I wouldn't call it mentorship because Spoon is younger, but where is he? Like, I mean, I need to find out because Yeah, he's younger. Oh, a year younger. Okay. Yeah, year and a half. So, but perhaps even mentorship, because what was the, besides some of the really big busts in coverage, what was the second huge criticism of Reek's game was, boy oh boy, he was a putrid run defender. And at least this year, it wasn't that. Like, I'm not going to say he was perfect. Like, he's lean, he's not muscly guy. He won't ever be Spoon in terms of run defense. But it was not something that teams were able to take advantage of, which was the case in 2023. So, really, two guys that you absolutely have. There is gap behind them that we try to fill in with several players. Those guys that were given the most opportunities were Trey Brown, were Josh Yobe. There was obviously Nehemiah Pritchett, DJ James that we kind of hoped that could step up in this position, and neither of them did. So really something that I really feel like we need to address, whether it's bring veteran to just give this room a little bit of a better floor, and continue to try perhaps Pritchett, perhaps Jobe for next season, and if in case those guys are unable to do so, replace them with the veteran. But there is also a second option, and that's address it with draft, because wouldn't it be fun to have secondary of perhaps Julian Love, Kobe Bryant, Devon Witherspoon, Tariq Woolen, and some mock drafts have us being out there with 18 pick and still have Will Johnson as a potential player to draft. His draft stocks are heading down quite significantly, because 3-4 weeks ago, I talked about him as one of the prospects that probably is going to go within top 5, top 7 picks. Now I've seen him drop to mid-teens and sometimes even towards 20s. If he falls to us, I want guard help for sure, but I would not mind to really have potentially the best secondary in the league, because with the potential, really I don't think either of these guys is maxed out, and I would say even at their floor, that secondary would be top 7. And I really feel like sky's the limit for Spoon. I feel like Tariq has an important starter in him. Will Johnson, definitely as a prospect, is going to be viewed as a floor, decent starter, but potential, from what I've seen, from what I've heard, amazing starter is within him. Julian Love, I also think has amazing starter in him, and Kobe Bryant, good starter is my expectations for next year. I really feel like he's going to make another step. So that now we're talking about probably the best graded secondary that I actually have. So it would be fun. And I know we have a lot of other issues, but really, if you consider, draft Will Johnson, bring back Ernest Jones, bring back Jaron Reed, we don't need anything else for this defense. We are filled. And it would be with Mike Mack, if it requires a lot of guys step up, but this is a young defense, right? There's a lot of investment in there. Dare I dream about second version of, not Legion of Boom, but defense of your Doom? Perhaps. We will see. It's definitely a fun thing to imagine. Well, here we are. We arrived towards the point where I'm going to hand out some rewards. And for draft hit, I'm going to give it to Tyrese Knight. I did not believe in the guy as much as I should. He absolutely proved me wrong, proved a lot of guys out there wrong. I feel like on some boards he was not even draftable prospects. For most guys he was a third day, even for me. yeah, bad take from me, and he definitely showed that he can be LB2 as of right now and really do it as good as like 15 other guys in the league. Like that's definitely how a lot of teams are actually structured in their LB room. I would say like next to Aaron Jones, that's actually like slightly even above average given where Tyrese Knight is year one. In terms of draft blunder, I went for DJ James. Really, this is like it could have been Christian Haynes, but like DJ James did not even make it through like preseason, and like given how me included, but I would say pretty much everyone had like as good as late day 2 grade on him, like really late third round pick would have been probably justifiable for DJ to not even make it through the camp. It's not like the secondary, like it's loaded with a lot of young players, but not necessarily loaded in terms of there is no chance for you to prove yourself. So that's where like I find a draft blunder with this team. In terms of our cornerstone of this franchise, it's Devon Witherspoon, man. Like I said, I love me some Spoon. I think he can do pretty much anything out there. He is a perfect piece for Mike Mack. And like, if you talk about guy that makes you interested to watch any team, like for us, it would definitely be Spoon. And I cannot watch him play year 2 with Mike Mack. In terms of unsung hero, I've already mentioned him a lot. I feel like I've been handing him a lot of compliments towards this, and it's Ernest Jones. I really need to credit him for how our defense looked much more, I would say, snap ready after he arrived. And like I would say, it probably happened to some degree even without him, but I do have to credit him for a lot of like button up defense that we were second half of the year, and it's definitely not easy to like go through 3 teams within one season. So Ernest was able to do it, and boy oh boy, I really want him back. In terms of flop, Jamon Jones, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. He's already not on this roster. He just did not deliver what he was being paid to. Like his production did not match his output at all. And considering who is your head coach, who is your like defensive guru, which I consider Mike Mack to be, not able to thrive under him is like, I would say, even more worrying for Dramon's future than like having this type of years anywhere, or not anywhere else, but for a lot of other teams, because I really feel like Mike Mack is going to like essentially give you 5 to 10% additional because of the way how he's able to scheme up a lot of stuff. And when we talk about Mike Mack, let's see where this franchise is at. So we have a coach that I have to rank highly. Like I was super high on him when we got him. Like I was sad as fuck because we were losing Pete Carroll. But similarly to Tyler, it was the right time to say goodbye to Pete. Like some stuff was just not working as good as you would hope so. We needed a fresh start. It doesn't diminish what Pete Carroll was for this franchise. He's an absolute freaking legend. He should have a statue all over Seattle. He is the guy that turned things around for Seattle Seahawks, and I'm excited to watch him coach again with the Raiders because like he just freaking loves football, and I really wish I had like half of the energy that this man has, because like dude is just really insane, and it's just so nice to see someone in his element loving football as much as Pete does. So thank you very much for all the memories, Pete, once again. But let's go towards Mike. I've upgraded him towards an A because I feel like year 1 he did not necessarily struggle with like time management or like not having his locker room under control or being bad at press. Like it felt like the worries about how he's going to be able to handle head coaching job, not really worries at all after year one. He also he's probably with John Schneider, but I would say he has definitely a hand in making tough decisions like firing Ryan Grapp, letting him go, like getting Clint Kubiak in the building. And really, like, you have to credit him with a huge turnaround for this defense in second part of the year. Upprises of Derek Hall, of Boye Mafe, like, there's a lot of good things from year one from Mike Mack that I justified to even put him into like already a top 10 head coach in the league, which I will rarely do for a second year head coach, but I think he's there, man. In terms of how the 2024 went for Seahawks, I'm going to give it a C. It was like a bit of up and down season. We started 3-0 and we freaking lost to like the Giants at home for some freaking reason. We didn't make the playoffs despite winning 10 games. Gino was looking really good at times, but not great. The draft was some hits, was kind of, a year of like up and down that kind of neutralizes itself. So it's not like we were supposed to be a lock towards the playoffs. We were not the favorites to win the division by any stretch of imagination. So yeah, it's hard, but I would say just about justified. It was kind of an average season based on expectation I had for this franchise. In terms of QB, once again, we end up in neutral because I feel like Gino is worth the money that we are paying him. His contract, I don't think, is detrimental towards like the roster building, and he provides a good enough play for that, though not necessarily something that you would call value in terms of what kind of money. Like, I feel this is really adequate. In terms of hot seat for Mike Macdonald, like, it could really be one. I think like it's two just because there could be some tension about some of the leaders being released, which is something I predicted, especially like with Tyler Lockett. So there might be some tension with that, and perhaps there might be some, like, we've missed the playoffs for second year in a row, so there's expectations to like go into the playoffs, but like I don't think Mike Mack's chair is under any immediate danger. In terms of finances, it's a minus, which means like we don't necessarily have too much money to spend in free agency this year, even despite some of the moves that we've made with releasing of Lockett and Ramon Jones, which are the moves that I've predicted, but I've been doing this before those moves happened, so I was kind of counting with really not that much of cap space that we actually have right now. I don't really feel like we have that much of guys on like great contracts. We have some nice rookie deals, but with this year not necessarily being a huge success so far, that also counts against finances. Overall, it's a solid situations. There are some holes that needs to be fixed, and there are some money to fix it. With the releases that happen and really like franchise making, I would say, right moves that I would make. Right now, I would put it to neutral, but like I said, I'm doing this with predicting those moves, but also looking at the situation as it is before they happen, because I'm not certain that they will make it. For example, with the Browns, like, there are some moves that I would make. It seems they are going to completely different direction. They probably enjoy being bad, I guess. In terms of strength of these teams, I went kind of lazy because I went for the fans, and I'm a fan. So yeah, I'm strength of this team. Hopefully, as the 12th man, there could have been head coach. It could have been like a D-line. It could have been youth. It could have been playmakers, running backs. Like, there's a lot of strength that this team has. It's no coincidence that it won 12 games. But at the end of the day, it's 12-man. I couldn't do it any other way. In terms of division, I was thinking about putting here 2 minuses, but at the end of the day, Arizona, nobody knows whether they are going to be like a playoff team next season. With the Rams, There is a lot of talk, obviously Cooper Kupp is not going to be there. And like Matthew Stafford, there was a lot of question marks about his future. They figured it out, but Rams are not necessarily juggernaut as of right now. And the same like can be said about the 49ers. Like low-key, their defensive line is a problem. If they have Nick Bosa and pretty much nothing else. So it's not an easy division by any stretch of imagination from the perspective of the Seahawks, but there are tougher out there than what we are facing. So slightly like over average in terms of strength, but it's really not the toughest out there. That being said, let's take a look at how the roster could look and shape up in 2025. So like I said, I would actually give a chance to all to start, because I really feel like the money are a bit of a tight situation when if we were going about like trying to bring like top markets guards, you cannot really afford to invest that much more into, for example, centers. And I really believe like Olu deserves a shot at being our starter. This does not mean that I would not sign some veteran to back him up for like $2 million or something like that. But for a starter, I think we could take a chance on him. But that would require, and that's also why any guards are not here, because that requires better guard play next to him. And I don't know where we're going to find them, whether it's going to be through draft, where we try with free agency, or whether we won't try and we just run it back. But so right now I don't really see starters for these positions on our roster. In terms of tackles, I think it's set with Abe Lucas and Charles Cross. You can just hope that Abe is going to be healthy. Gino obviously is going to be QB that we go with. Like I really don't believed any of the rumors, and I was not a part of the movement that was like, yeah, let's get rid of Gino, because for the money we are paying him, we are getting a very nice return. As you can see here, I did our wide receivers without Tyler Lockett, but I still had DK Metcalf in here. And will he? Who knows? We found him. This room starts to look quite sad, because like JSN is great, but I don't think we have wide receiver 3, and without wide receiver 1, there's two guys to be bring in. I'm not sure who are we going to target, whether it's going to be again through draft or free agency, but I hope we keep DK in. In terms of running backs, there is really not a clear chance that the sixth man in on this slide, which so always 3 wide receivers, 1 running back, 1 tight end, and then kind of like the sixth man X factor for the offense. It's always going to be Zach Charbonnet. He's really nice. It's even kind of bad towards him to call him RB2, because he would be a starter in several teams. No offense, I think we will continue with him, because once again we find a nice complement to him, and his year was solid for what he is expected to be, and I expect him to potentially even take a leap forward with Clint Kubiak. In terms of backups for this offense, I expected us to keep George Fent, which we've released. That's one move that I kind of don't agree with, because we cleared like 3.8 million, but I think for a swing tackle of his caliber, that's not necessarily a huge savings. Perhaps there is, with his injuries, there is like expectation that he's not going to be like capable of playing next year, or like being healthy, or like we are not counting for him to be healthy across the whole year. So that would probably justify it. But if it's like we saw a lot of good things from like Mike Gerald, that's where I'm like, yeah, I didn't. So I'm definitely not okay with Mike Gerald being our backup tackle, especially with Abe Lucas. I would say it's over 50% chance that he's going to miss some time. With Christian Haynes, I still do believe that for a backup, he's definitely out there. If he's going to be our starter, which is absolutely possible, I'm going to hope for the best, but kind of expect the worst. So we will see. AJ Barner, Jake Bobo, really guys that are very nice backups. With Jake, I think he kind of is what he is, wide receiver for special situations. He's going to be out there earning 300 to 500 snaps depending on what we are trying to do. With AJ, there is a bit of more potential for him to become a full-time starter. We'll see. Somehow, we have him on 1.1 billion for next year. So for a backup, when the monies are tight, yeah, let's keep Sam Howell. Like, I don't want to see him out there, but for a cheap backup, that's obviously okay. And for a RB3, I could have put Kenny McIntosh in because he was solid when he was playing last year, but with Kenneth Walker health issues and this running back class being really deep, I would probably like to see us address it. But the same could be even said about Sam Howell and kind of his replacement as a backup or potential starter within this draft. But I would say outside of first 2 rounds, you are really not talking about potential starters, but you could talk about kind of nice backups, which is something that I would say teams should use much more often, because when we talk about like veteran QB backups, they cost like 6 to 10 millions, and you could have a backup for like 1.2, investing like 4 for 5th round. Are you getting the same mentorship? Hell no. But are you getting some sort of potential? Yes. And are you getting like a guy whose floor is not necessarily like super bad? Like you can find some of really nice backups in there that, like for some reason or other, perhaps like the arm strength are limited with their upside. But like I actually also thinking that could be really how you can save yourself like 5 to 10 millions every year on this. Why not? And it's not like in case you would be super unhappy with that situation, there is not some guys even like going from their sofa like Joe Flacco last year, or even like some teams having this backup or bridge QB that the young guy overturn. That would be like middle of the season for a 4th round, they would let you have him. So I would really, if I'm GM, I would definitely consider this way of approaching my backup QB spot. Now let's shift towards defense, where in terms of D-line, I would say 3 of the 4 spots are definitely clear. It's Boye Mafe, it's Leonard Williams, it's Myron Murphy. I would like to bring Uchenna Nwosu here, though I'm not sure about his health, like what is it going to be. And with that, like I feel like he is potentially cut candidate, so that's why I was not putting him into this room where he could be cut. Like he is due 41 millions over this and upcoming season, so 25-26, and we could save 28 millions by releasing him. So, and 8 millions now and 18 millions next year. So that's not a small amount. And unless I'm like sure that he's 100% healthy, I might consider to do so, given how many other needs we have. Because as we look at the backups, we have Derek Hall, and we could hopefully have Jaron Reed, which is like more of an interior guy. But perhaps that's something to think about. In terms of LBs, I just really struggle with the idea of letting Ernest Jones go. So I'm kind of certain that we're going to bring him back, though I'm much more doubtful about it than I was when I started with this, because this was like 3 weeks ago when I really put my thoughts about the rosters together. Not to be swinged by what the free agency is going to look like, because I was trying to give you my thoughts about how the free agency is going to project, how the cuts are going to happen. Obviously, with the schedule being tight, I'm not going to be able to release all the teams before free agency happens. So I felt like this is the best way how to show you my thoughts before it happens. Next year, I hope to start with the series through January, like after the season ends pretty much. This year I was just way too busy to do so. So Ernest Jones, Tyrese Knight, other guys that I expect to start as linebackers. In terms of secondary, like I really feel like 4 places are set, and we are really looking for that CB2 spot. Perhaps even a guy that's much more of a slot, so Spoon can go and play more as a wide corner. But I don't think there's anyone that I would call lock, even as a like dimeback fourth corner, to be called upon. But I feel like these 4 guys are definitely lock, and I'm really excited about their future together. In terms of backups, Uchenna, Derek Hall, and Josh Jobe, who's the guy that I put as a corner here. We are not necessarily like super heavy in terms of backups, especially with like Royer Batson Harris, yet another guy that I expected to be cut and was cut. So at least with my own teams, it seems like pretty much all of the projections are actually coming true. Yeah, I mean, am I John Schneider? No, I'm not John Schneider. I'm sorry, guys. I wish I would be. No, I would be older than I am now, so probably not, because like age is probably like the most special things that all of us, or all of we have. Like really, time is really precious. So enjoy it. And with that, a little bit of philosophical, I'm going to end this really special episode. It's been so much fun, but so much I would say pain, but not pain. Like really. So many emotions like really running through me when I'm talking about my team, because dude, I love Seahawks, man. It's simple as that. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed me a little bit more on emotional side with these things. I still hope that I was able to put out very reasonable overall picture of where this team is at, and I was trying to be as like non-biased as I could, though with Spoon perhaps I was not able to. But that being said, thank you very much. Please leave me a like, leave me a comment if you like this, and see you with the next one. Have a nice day till then. Bye bye.